Welcome everyone to Not That Media. My name is John and in today's video it's the end of the month, so it's time to go back over my 4Ks, Blu-rays and DVD purchases for November. So come along with me as I do another horror haul. So to jump straight in and address a potential elephant in the room, this is definitely a horror haul video. I have a horror Blu-ray, DVD and 4K to go over in this video, but you will notice that I am obviously sitting in front of clearly what is a Doctor Who collection, or a portion of my Doctor Who collection. As I've mentioned in my very early videos, as well as horror and theme parks and other kinds of little bits and pieces that I like to look at, I am a tremendous fan of Doctor Who, and one of the intentions of my channel was to have a pillar of Doctor Who content. So I'm just sitting here in front of it more out of practicality than any other reason. What I have found, just to explain in a bit more detail, what I have found with my 4Ks and Blu-rays on those kind of unboxing videos or haul videos is when I sit in front of my usual green screen, which I tend to use for the majority of my videos when I'm not out and about in theme parks and things. One of the problems I find is that because a lot of these cases are reflective and clear and can reflect surfaces quite quickly, a lot of the Blu-rays, when you apply a green screen CSO effect to the video, it tends to wash out some of the image and damage some of the image. So what I found myself doing was, and I've already recorded this whole video once, and when I sat down to actually edit it together, I completely wiped out the items in question. Now, you could sit and just show photographs and things like that and kind of work around it, but I thought the video looked pretty poor in terms of quality. The CSO was just having some kind of like mad moment and just washing out everything, including my left eye for some strange reason. But I also think that when you do these kind of videos, and certainly the ones I watch, I think it's nice to actually see the item physically in the person's hand and they can kind of show it and demonstrate it. So I thought for this time we'll make a little bit of a change and I would sit in my Doctor Who collection room. Now, obviously, if you are a Doctor Who fan or a Whovian fan, I am more than happy to do more content. I do have some content coming up, so just an early warning, if you are a horror fan and a Doctor Who fan, there is plenty more content for you guys to come. But for future videos, I will most of the time be in front of my normal CSO effect screen. Certainly for the 12 Scares of Christmas, that will all be done practically in front of a screen, because I think it can be a little bit confusing when you're trying to talk about horror films and you're sitting in front of what is quite clearly a British science fiction collection. But anyway, let's get on with the whole video. So November 2024 has proven to be a little bit of a light month when it comes to horror Blu-rays and DVDs. That's perfectly natural. Obviously October, the Halloween season, is normally when a lot of these companies, be it the big retailers or the small production companies that like to do their limited runs of certain films, they normally capitalise obviously on the success of October. So October was quite a bumper month for my horror haul videos, and do go back and check that one out because there was a lot of good stuff in there. Technically speaking, obviously for November, I only actually have 3 purchases to show you, although within these 3 purchases there are 8 items. 1 Blu-ray, 2 4K Blu-rays and a box set of DVDs. All horror related, hopefully something that is of interest to all of you. But what I would say is, if this is the first time you're watching one of my haul videos, do go back and have a look over the last couple of months, because the quantity is not necessarily reflective of a normal haul video, and indeed already December is going to prove to be a little bit more of, I wouldn't say a bumper month, but I already have more pre-ordered and ordered for December than I bought in all of November. So to start with, we're going to go through Second Sight Films' Blair Witch Blu-ray. Now this is a new release. I want to say it came out at the beginning of November, around about maybe the 9th, 10th or 11th of November. I must confess I have forgotten. I'm going to talk about this in a little bit of detail for a couple of reasons. A, I want to go over the release, and B, there is a reason why, if you are looking to obtain a copy online or at a store, there's a reason why you might struggle to do that for the remainder of 2024, if not into early mid-January 2025. So to begin with, if you've never heard of the Blair Witch Project, because there may still be some people out there who never have, this is regarded as one of the most commercially successful found footage movies. This is not the first horror found footage movie. I think that right goes to the McPherson tapes, which I have covered on another haul video. But this is realistically, when people are asked about found footage movies, this is traditionally the one people jump to. So this is late 90s, and since then we've obviously had the Paranormal Activities, we've had Lake Mungo, Hell House, etc. But realistically, the Blair Witch Project was the one that kicked the door open. That idea that a group of people have recorded some kind of video or documentary or movie, and as a result of making that, they have gone missing or something has happened, and the footage has been subsequently found and edited together for our viewing purposes. Blair Witch arguably did that as early as possible, but not first. So for those of you who may not know, I will read you the synopsis. I love the new artwork. This is some specially commissioned artwork by Second Sight Films. Just trying to hold this in a way that doesn't make my fingers look really strange. This is new artwork, nice black and white design. This is something that they've been doing regularly. So this black and white imagery, I've seen it for the Babadook and for the Vitch, or Witch if you want to be pedantic. But yeah, this new effect of black and white grey kind of imagery, I really like it. It shows the three teenagers, it shows them obviously out and about, and the cross of the Blair Witch. So for those of you who've never heard of the story, 3 film students head into the woodlands of Maryland in search of the Blair Witch, a local legend that has haunted the town of Burkittsville for centuries. As part of a documentary project, they are never seen again. This footage is all that remains of that faithful excursion. It's 2-disc edition. This is Blu-ray. There are 2 editions of this. This is the standard special edition, and there is a special edition which comes with a hardback case, comes with posters, comes with art cards, and I think a book and things like that. I have to confess that. And this isn't something that I necessarily would talk about on my videos, but I have to say that this, I do feel this was actually quite an expensive release. This actually retailed at release as £21.99. So this is definitely a premium Blu-ray. This is the first time I've ever seen, outside of obviously special editions, but just a 2-disc bog standard cased edition north of £20. They don't tend to be like that unless they're a steelbook or have some kind of special thing with them. So £21.99. I don't know if this is a sign of things to come with Second Sight Films or Blu-rays in general. Most new releases tend to be £14.99 or £17.99 sometimes, but this was £21.99, and the special edition is £44.99. If I'm being honest, I do really like the Blair Witch. I own another copy that is signed by the lead actress. I'm not going to double dip on a £50 version or £44.99 version of the Blair Witch. I like the Blair Witch, not £45 liked enough. But it's 2-disc special edition, and the features. So on disc 1, I'll just fly through these very quickly. A new Second Sight Films restoration of the theatrical and festival cuts using the High 8 videotapes and 16mm film elements, supervised and approved by the producers and directors. Also includes the original exhibition theatrical cut from the 35mm release. Theatrical edition comes with a commentary, and so does and another commentary, so 2 commentaries for the theatrical version. The second disc has the Blair Witch documentary, a brand new feature-length Second Sight Films production. This is a long documentary and a comprehensive documentary. If you are a fan of watching multi-hour documentaries, this is why you want to buy this release. And again, maybe this is why this is that little bit more expensive, because this goes above and beyond the traditional stick a couple of archive trailers and a couple of archive interviews on there. This has got a feature-length documentary on it, which is very, very good. Very candid and very open and well worth people's time if you like that kind of thing. It's got the Blair Witch Project, the Analog Horror in the Digital World documentary. Deleted scenes including previously unseen video and 16mm footage, alternative endings, The Curse of the Blair Witch, which was a archival kind of mockumentary thing, the Cannes 1999 archive, director's interview, and trailers. Now, the thing with this restoration, which I have to say, is it looks fantastic. Now, for those of you who have seen the Blair Witch, you will be used to the 4x3, very fuzzy, very dirty, very real-looking found footage concept. It turns out that actually, as part of releasing this theatrically and DVD and Blu-ray, that a significant amount of the image has actually been cropped. The best example, which I've seen online, is of the Burkittsville sign, where you see what has been available commercially for the last 25 years, and yep, that's what you would expect to see. When you see this, the new restoration and the scan that they've done, there's quite literally about ½ an inch on all around the screen of stuff we've never seen before. Now, does it add any content? No, of course it doesn't, but it's just cool to see that it is that little bit bigger on the image, and this is so clean. It maintains the kind of dirty, archival, filmic look to it, but it has been cleaned up to a stage where this actually looks really impressive. It's a very good restoration, well worth your time. Now, the problem you're going to find at the time of recording, which is just at the end of November, this has now become somewhat of a collector's item, because the first disc, the theatrical audio, was actually wrong. So shortly after, and I'm hoping maybe the screen image will appear of the email text, I received two emails, one from HMV, who I ordered this from, and another I saw on Facebook from secondsightfilms.com, because I follow them as well. So they put a post out to say that the audio of the theatrical version was wrong and was in a dual mono format, when it should have been in a newly kind of swept up, souped up version of the audio. So there is an error on disc 1. At the time of recording, they are doing a full replacement service. So if you have purchased this and you have somehow missed the email, or you have missed the posting on social media, you need to email blair@secondsightfilms.co.uk, I believe, with your proof of purchase, with your address details, to explain that you want to or are eligible for your disc 1 replacement. Now, you have to do this by the 6th of January 2025, and they will send out a replacement disc. When I've sent my details on, I got a generic automatic response to say, thank you for logging your details, we hope to have this out in mid-December, possibly January. Subsequently, another email has gone out to say that this will not be coming out, the replacement disc will not be coming out until January 2025. There is also reports that all copies have been recalled from stores, so if you're looking for a copy of this physically, you may struggle in December. If you get yourself into HMV or Zavvi or wherever you go, or any of your online services, if they are selling this at a reasonable price, I would recommend buying this. So my second November release was purchased directly from 101 Films. It is available at other retailers and online, and it is the Slumber Party Massacre 1 and the Slumber Party Massacre 2 4K Blu-ray box set. The back art card and the bit that goes there, I've actually left downstairs in my folder. I don't like to keep them on them. When they're loose, a little bit of a side get off my lawn kind of moment is I quite like it when these get these kind of sticker and back sheets and they have that little bit of glue or that little bit of sellotape that actually holds them to it. For some reason now we seem to exist in a world where they don't bother to do that now, so they cellophane it up, and as soon as you take it out of the cellophane, the card kind of just comes off like that, so you end up holding this piece of card like that, and if you put it on the shelf and you push another Blu-ray in too quickly, you're just going to rip it to shreds. So now, as a rule, whenever I get those kind of things, I take them off and I put them in a folder that I've got a multitude of them, such as Martin, Dawn of the Dead, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Slumber Party Massacre, Frighteners. They've all got these wonderful art card or these like back cards, but they're just not glued on in any kind of safe way. So again, you know, if you're a fan, if you're a collector, you may share that pain. You may love the fact that you can just take them off. So if you're looking at it thinking, well, where's the barcode? The barcode is not there. So just to go through this very quickly, as you can see, you get this is the 40th special edition release from 101 Films, and it is Slumber Party Massacre 1 and Slumber Party Massacre 2. As a lifelong horror fan, I'm always looking for new horror films, and Slumber Party Massacre was one that I always heard about, particularly on the Going to Pieces documentary. This has got a really good hard case, by the way. You know, that wonderful sound, which when you get it, not just a flimsy plastic or cardboard case you're going to rip. This is a film series, because there are three. There is a remake, and I have seen the remake, but it wasn't included in this. But it was always spoken about, this one, because what people don't realise, and I'll get onto it in a moment, is that this is a franchise that has a very odd background, and I'll explain why as I talk about the first film. So inside the hard case is two separate Blu-rays, and you do get a book, which I'll go through in a moment. Housed inside both of the Blu-rays is the 4K disc and the Blu-ray disc. They have the 4K on the new artwork and the Blu-ray on the old artwork. One of the things I absolutely love about these 101 Films, and I love on any of these kind of releases, if you followed my haul videos you'll know this, is the fact that you get the new art cover and they produce the original art as well, the original poster art I should say. So really cool to see, obviously, that both of these are included in Slumber Party Massacre 1. The back and the spine are exactly the same on both editions, but it just depends if you like the classic or the new covers. Now I have to confess, I quite like the new covers on these, so I'm just going to keep them exactly as they are. I'll show you the Slumber Party Massacre 2 interior when I get to it. But Essentially, this is a 1982 slasher gem. I don't think it quite gets the appreciation in the UK, simply because I think this is the first 4K and Blu-ray release of Slumber Party Massacre 1 and 2. I don't know if it had a DVD, possibly a VHS from many years ago, but I've never seen a DVD of Slumber Party Massacre 1 and 2. It's not necessarily always available on streaming services either, so as always, as a fan of physical media collecting, always great to get any kind of iconic slasher on there. This was written and directed by women, and it was, and I know that might sound odd to call that out, but this is one of the very first times this ever happened in a horror film. And when these ladies wrote this film, they actually wrote it as a comedy. It was designed to make fun of the state of slasher movies in 1982. That is obviously post Halloween, Prom Night, Terror Train, Friday the 13th. So you know the drill. The silent killer, drill, pun intended, the silent killer stalking the scantily clad women, death, sex, boobs flying around all over the place. It's exactly what you would expect to see in an early 80s horror film. The difference is that when these ladies wrote this, they wrote it as a comedy, and for reasons that are unknown to me at this point in time, because I haven't watched the interview or the documentary that's included in this, which I'll mention in a minute, the studio mandated that this had to be a straight horror film. So the script was rewritten or edited in a way to make it appear to be a straight horror film, but it does have some of that kind of dark, odd humour that when you're watching it, the idea of the stupidity of the girls. I mean, me and my wife were watching this for the very first time, and I have to confess, I did ask a couple of times, like, you know, I appreciate that men have visions and ideas of what goes on when women go to slumber parties. You know, do they always get undressed in front of each other? Are they always bouncing around in various lingeries and sports outfits and things like that? It's a teenager's dream, this film, in terms of what women do, how they act. You know, they were one scene away from hitting each other with pillows and things like that. So you have some very I suppose in 2024 people would say that this is somewhat of a disrespectful film to the representation of women. I disagree. I think that obviously everybody behind the camera, in front of the camera, is in on what is getting made. This is not high art. This is not designed to make you learn or laugh or love. It's just, okay, let's get some young, attractive teenage, not teenage because that'd be illegal, some young attractive teenagers, get them in various outfits, get them to be doing all these silly things, and here comes a big man with a metaphorical drill in his hand, and he is going to stab and impale these women in as many ways as possible. The metaphor and the subtlety of this film, of the hand of misogyny beating down the freedom of women, is so obvious. It is smashing you over the head through it, and it knows it's doing it, and you are going to have a good time while it's happening. So that might sound like a bit of an odd thing to say, but I just want to put that into a little bit of context, because I think sometimes I've seen some stuff about Slumber Party Massacre where they say the ultimate in misogyny, the ultimate in sexism and things like that. That's complete nonsense. Everyone was in on it, and you watch it for what it is. It's a good fun time. Don't expect to have your world changed. It is great. The new edition has got a new documentary called Sleepless Nights, the making of the Slumber Party Massacre. It's got an audio commentary with the directors, and an interview with the actor Rig Kennedy, trailers, alternative title sequence, and still gallery. The 4K is fantastic. I watched the 4K. It is full of colour, full of life, looks fantastic. They do that thing, and I know people will say it's not a big deal, but they do that thing where they put all the Blu-ray extras or all the extras on the Blu-ray disc and not on the 4K disc. So that's a bit of a shame, because I do like the fact that, you know, I shouldn't have to get up at the end of my film to watch any kind of extras. It's part of the reason why I don't watch extras sometimes, because when you finish the film, if I have to get up, change the disc, another film's going in. But Slumber Party Massacre 1 is a strong recommend. So after Slumber Party Massacre 1 clearly comes Slumber Party Massacre 2. Now this came out in 1987, and I have to tell you, I haven't watched it yet, but I have seen enough clips, seen it on enough documentaries to know that this film is considered crazy. Whilst the first film, it's actually quite ironic that the first film was a comedy that was turned into a straight film. It was then a straight film that sequel was mandated to be a comedy. And what I find really interesting is how, if you look at the two people who are playing, quote, the killer, it's two different actors, it's two different parts, but they're meant to be playing the same person. I think there's some kind of bodily possession involved in this. I'm not 100% sure, like I say, but this film is regarded as crazy. The main killer, as you can see on the cover here, his power drill has been replaced by not just another power drill, but by a hell rock guitar with the drill on the top. You can see just below the two S's, that's where the drill bit is. He is a leather clad kind of teddy boy, and he is terrorizing these girls. Now, what I find interesting, what I was saying a moment ago about Slumber Party Massacre 1, is that Slumber Party Massacre is clearly as a result of the post Friday the 13th Halloween slasher boom. This is a film that is firmly within the world of after A Nightmare on Elm Street has hit cinemas. 1987, so Elm Street was in full swing by this point. But just to give it you very quickly, the only survivor of Slumber Party Massacre dreams of the drill murderer returning. She can't shake the horrible feeling that she and her friends will be viciously tormented and brutally butchered again and again as the nightmares return. No one believes her until it's too late. The drill killer returns, reincarnated as an evil rocker. He methodically stalks them one by one and violently gores them to death. Can anyone survive Slumber Party Massacre 2? This is apparently a musical as well. There are some songs in it. There is a musical element to it. Not the victims, but certainly the killer sings on no less than a couple of occasions. So again, you've got the newly commissioned artwork and the original artwork. Again, these films know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly what the audience is. You can see how crazy this cover looks. This guy with this power drill pointing it down at the scantily clad women. This is just crazy that this film got made. From what I've heard, though, it is a tremendously entertaining time. I haven't had a chance to watch it. I want to watch it ASAP, but I'm conscious of time, so I wanted to get this video out before. What little clips I have seen, it is just totally mental. This version has got the original R-rated cut and an extended cut. It's got a new commentary, sleepless nights, revisiting Slumber Party Massacre 2, trailers, and a still gallery. So again, another 80s horror classic. And the last thing inside the Slumber Party Massacre box set, I'm not going to go over this in any great detail, is it comes with a book. Now the book, obviously, clearly once again is just showing you everything you need to know about Slumber Party Massacre, but it does go into some details. There's some great photographs, there's some great imagery, especially the content pages. So it's a fairly generic book, it has to be said. Nothing too over the top and crazy. A few notes, a few bits and pieces, a few facts, a few different things to kind of get your teeth into. If you're a fan, obviously, as I say, for special editions, it's always cool to get these kind of things. As I said before, this was £44.99. So as I said, whilst I comment about the fact that I don't buy these special boxes, I mean, here you go. Here is Slumber Party Massacre 2. Here are some images for Slumber Party Massacre 2. That is just madness. I mean, just look at that. That's just crazy in my opinion. Can't wait to watch it though, is what I would say. Sometimes you don't want high art. Sometimes you just want a schlocky horror film. I'm always there for them. So yeah, great. That was $44.99, the Slumber Party Massacre box set. As I say, for 2 4Ks, 2 Blu-rays in a special edition box with the book, $44.99, absolute bargain. If you're a horror fan, if you're a UK horror fan, definitely worth getting. I think over in America, these are both already available on the Shout Factory production range, so unless you really want to pay extra for the new box and the new artwork, if you're over the pond, you will not get anything better in terms of extras and quality. It's exactly the same release. So last but by no means least is the 2019 reboot of Are You Afraid of the Dark? Now, just to say this straight up front, this is a Region 1 DVD. You need a Region 1 DVD player or a Region 3 DVD player / Blu-ray player in order to get this to work. There is no commercially available copy of this in the UK. You cannot buy it, you cannot stream it in the UK. For reasons that are gone beyond my head, Nickelodeon seemed it appropriate to remove all streaming versions of this from their digital sources, and that includes in America. So right now you can't even stream this thing, so you have to own it in order to watch it. If you were to buy each of these 3 miniseries individual, limited event series as they like to call them, on eBay they currently retail for about £20 to £25 each. I was really lucky to be able to get hold of this for £21, although even though this was new and sealed, because this came out in October 2024 from what I've researched, the quality of the case I received was a little bit to be desired. Sadly, it has been quite badly banged around and damaged, and when I approached the eBay seller, he said, well, send it back and I'll send you another one. I couldn't be bothered, to be totally honest. The DVDs inside it are absolutely fine. Some of the cases took a bit of a scuffing, but I replaced it. But the point is this thing, you can buy one of these DVDs for £20 films, or 2025. So the fact that I got all three for the price of one, I am not going to mess around sending something back to a seller who's then going to increase the price to make me buy it at a higher price. I've seen it happen. People can call me a conspiracy theorist, but sometimes people stick these things on for a certain price, notice it's gone through the roof, and then resell it later. So yeah, I'm going to keep it even though it's got a bit of damage. So for those of you who don't know, and I'm going to bring this down for just a second, what is Are You Afraid of the Dark? Now, this is not an Are You Afraid of the Dark channel in any way, but I will give you my opinion that I absolutely love Are You Afraid of the Dark. If you're a 90s kid like me and my partner, wife, and many other people who I am friends with or know, the 90s was a boom period for young children anthology horror. You had Round the Twist, Goosebumps, Eerie, Indiana, and Are You Afraid of the Dark. You could sit and enjoy and have fun with Goosebumps and Round the Twist, but Are You Afraid of the Dark was kind of considered to be the scary stuff. Like, if you sat watching Nickelodeon double bills of Goosebumps and Are You Afraid of the Dark, you had fun with Goosebumps, but then you got the scares with Are You Afraid of the Dark, so you were brave to watch Are You Afraid of the Dark. Now, you can pick up the original Are You Afraid of the Dark on DVD in the UK. This is series 1 to 4, both in double packs here. In a nutshell, if you've never heard of Are You Afraid of the Dark, this is a show about a group of kids referred to as the Midnight Society. They meet, it's never really said on what kind of frequency, but they meet on a regular basis to sit around a campfire and tell tales. They know that everyone who's involved is clearly a lover of horror and things like that, and the Twilight Zone, because when they tell their story, the famous words of "submitted for the approval of the Midnight Society" is a direct lift from Rod Serling in the Twilight Zone when he would say "submitted for your approval" when introducing some of his stories. So this knows its world. What I would say is that these are scary. I do think to this day there's a good number of these that still do hold up. The Tale of the Frozen Ghost, Laughing in the Dark, The Ghastly Grinner, there's a good number on this that to this day I would still argue is scary and can keep you awake. Not necessarily all night, but could quite happily make a visit in your nightmares. The Little Girl in the Mirror with the Locket, for example, for those of you who know this series will know what I'm talking about. But anyway, I'm not here to talk about the original series. It ran for 7 seasons. It was an absolute phenomenon. 91 episodes of a kid show. Every week was a different story with a different cast, a different location, a different idea. This thing was a powerhouse when it came out and was way ahead of its time, in my opinion. Now today we've got American Horror Story, American Horror Stories. We've seen the fantastic return of Creepshow and all this kind of stuff, but Are You Afraid of the Dark for me was just the precursor to the best anthology TV, or best anthology you can get. If you're a fan of horror films and horror anthology, I would wager if you were from the 90s, like a 90s kid like me, Are You Afraid of the Dark would have to be on your list of favourite anthologies. So I was excited and concerned back in 2019 when it was announced that Are You Afraid of the Dark would be returning. The 2 Goosebumps movies, the first one with Jack Black, and I know he's in the second one, but obviously he's not really in the second one, came and went, and they took what was a relatively scary, fun concept and made it just very, very silly and very, very, I don't want to say slapstick, but those Goosebumps movies, they're not scary. They're not even the real Goosebumps. They just took the concept and ran with it. So I was very dubious and thinking, okay, are we now going to take Are You Afraid of the Dark and are we going to ruin that now? And not to say that Goosebumps was ruined, because I think that's a bit unfair. I like the Goosebumps movies, but Goosebumps have been redeemed with the Disney Plus TV series, and I can't wait for season 2 in January with David Schwimmer. So anyway, Are You Afraid of the Dark is coming back, and I was dubious because I think many people might agree with this. I hope they would. That the problem you have as well with the tone of these ones were very serious, and they weren't adult orientated, but they were made to scare. And in the 90s, I think we were all made of harder stuff. Now, I don't want to get myself cancelled or be accused of being woke or anything else like this, but I do feel that these days horror for kids is not quite what it used to be. You go back into the 90s, and I've said this on other videos, like the Addams Family and Goosebumps, Are You Afraid of the Dark, etc. They were a different quality. They were scaring you, but they were still family friendly to an extent. They weren't gory, they weren't, there was no nudity or throats getting slit, but they could scare you in a different way. So again, I was kind of like, well, how is Are You Afraid of the Dark going to be rebooted in 2019 and maintain that mystique of terror that the original had in 2019? Now, There's three, just to jump into this, because obviously I've been talking a lot about it. There are three, all three miniseries are here. At the time of recording, I have only watched 2 of these series, but to go through it anyway, Are You Afraid of the Dark, simply called Are You Afraid of the Dark, is the first one. It is a 3-parter, which sees a new team of the Midnight Society already established, but they introduce a new member, so you are acting, you follow this girl who serves as the audience. So for those of you who don't know what the Midnight Society is, don't know the format, she is your entry point into the team. She joins the team, and basically for the first episode, because you have to treat these effectively as the movies is the way to look at it. Certainly this one, if you watch all 3 back to back, it's a 2-hour film. It's really good, just to show my hand straight away. But she sits, and they do the original anthology idea of the girl. They're all around the campfire. She tells a story, and she tells a story about Mr. Top Hat and the Carnival of Doom, which comes to towns and steals children. She tells a fantastic story, everyone's really scared, and she is approved to join the Midnight Society. Then the following weekend, it is then discovered that Mr. Top Hat and his Carnival of Doom have come to their local town. Now, one of their friends go missing. The Midnight Society have to come together and work together to stop Mr. Top Hat and the Carnival of Doom. Now, what I would say is, this is not the best of the 3 series. As I said, I've only watched 2, so of the 2 I've watched, this is the weaker of the 2, but this is still a really good time. It's filmed really well. This has got good kid actors in it. It's got good acting in general, some good special effects, and it has some genuinely scary moments. The carnival ticket booth guy with no eyes, the stilt walking clowns, and a lot of the imagery is quite scary. Mr. Top Hat is relatively lightweight. He kind of plays almost a Freddy Krueger, Nightmare Man, if you're a Sarah Jane Adventures kind of fan. He stalks dreams and realities, and he can bend reality to his will, but he has an obsession with scorpions, and there's some moments with scorpions which are genuinely quite scary. If you have a fear of critters and bugs, he can get under your skin quite literally. So it's relatively lightweight, it's a good time, but it was genuinely a very good restart of Are You Afraid of the Dark, moving away from the anthology format. So these 3 episodes are all one story. As I said, put them all together, you've got Are You Afraid of the Dark, the movie. So I was a little disappointed that we had lost the anthology format, but it did mean that every half an hour we weren't meeting a new set of characters, a new world, etc. So you could follow one story, and there was time to breathe out, and it was cool to see some special effects. So it was a good one. This DVD, it comes with 3 classic stories of Are You Afraid of the Dark. It comes with The Tale of Laughing in the Dark, The Tale of the Ghastly Grinner, and The Tale of the Dead Man's Float. So this one by itself is pretty good. Would I pay £20 for it? Probably not. £10? Yes, absolutely. So the second release in the Are You Afraid of the Dark box set is The Curse of the Shadows. Now, what I would say about this one is I was slightly disappointed, but very quickly got over the fact that it is a completely different team. Series 1 has one team in the Midnight Society. This is a totally different team in a totally new location. To give you the synopsis off the back, I haven't read the synopsis on this one because, to be fair, I told you pretty much what you wanted to know, but for the second one I'll tell you. An all-new Midnight Society and a spooky new seaside location bring fresh scares when the group's leader suddenly vanishes. The remaining members must follow the clues, confront dark forces, and ultimately uncover the truth behind the town's terrifying curse. Will they break the curse of the shadows before it's too late? This was great straight away. Of the 2, this was really strong. I don't want to sit here and say this is scary because I'm 38 years old and I shouldn't really be getting frightened of a kid's show, but what I would say is when I was watching this, I did genuinely sit there and think that if I had children or if I was a child, I think this would be genuinely frightening for them. The main creature, the Shadow Man, who there's a better picture of him on the back here. The Shadow Man is a fantastic combination of practical and CGI effects, and he is genuinely frightening when he comes through the walls and he comes through the shadows and manipulates shadows, and he has the ability to possess people at certain points, and when he does, their eyes appear to be very black and very dark. I actually think that this, without gore, without throat slitting and swearing and things like that, this probably pushes the envelope in terms of what's acceptable to frighten children. Again, not on a soapbox, not being a Karen or anything like that, but if you are a 90s kid like me and you've got a little one and you think, oh, you know, maybe I'll show them, I would probably recommend you watch this first before showing this to very young children. Even though this is a kid's show, I do think this is genuinely actually quite creepy in places. It's acted really well, the story's fantastic, the mystery's really good. There's more episodes in this one. This one only had 4 episodes, this one has 6, so we've already increased the format exponentially. I really enjoyed this. As soon as I finished it, I was disappointed that it was actually over, to be honest. We sat and watched it in an afternoon, couldn't stop watching it. The DVD has no special features whatsoever. The case I quite like. I didn't show you really the first one, but I did like, and the third one sadly ruins it, I did like the continuity of the spines and the Nickelodeon logo. I quite like the simplicity of the cases. I liked the fact that there was a little bit of a theme to them, the monster with the logo with the kids. So as a collector, I quite like the look of these cases. I think they're well worth it. And then the third and final part of this Are You Afraid of the Dark box set and my haul for this month is Are You Afraid of the Dark Ghost Island. I have not watched this one. It's not that I didn't want to, I just didn't have the time. There is a reduced episode count on this one, so this went from, so the first one went from 4 up to 6 and then back down to 4. Once again, it is a new Midnight Society. It is a different Midnight Society. I have to confess, having just said the positive, I was slightly disappointed that this one just decided to completely bin the theme and the format and just completely change all the look. It's just like, great, you know, as a collector, I'd like to see uniformity. Like, you look at the Are You Afraid of the Dark box sets here, okay, the colours are different, but on the shelf you can tell what they are. I was a bit disappointed with that, so that's only a little niggle for me. So the story, because as I say, I haven't read this, I haven't watched this one, so I should say, is 4 best friends and members of the Midnight Society get more than they bargained for when a fun summer vacation on a resort island turns into something sinister. They encounter genuine terror locked away in one of the rooms of their hotel, and try as they might to enjoy their vacation, the kids are pulled into the mystery of the island's ghost. This ultimately leads them to a terrifying and shocking revelation. Many guests check into room 13, but they never check out. No special features on this one yet again, so I have to say it was a little bit of a fall from Grace. Series 1, fantastic, looked great, really good to get the special features, but then Series 2, you get more episodes, but then you get no special features. Now again, you know, you don't necessarily need to watch too many special features, but the fact that this contained 3 classic, and they are classic episodes of Are You Afraid of the Dark, it would have been nice for these to actually continue that trend, and maybe they stick a couple of extra episodes on, but it's not a big deal, and at the end of the day, if you own them, why would you complain about it? But for me, I always like to see special features. Each one, every episode has got its own nickname, which is the tale of whatever it is, to keep the tradition of the Are You Afraid of the Dark titles going. But ultimately, it came and it went. From what I understand, the show did reasonably well. It was enjoyed by many, and just for some reason it was cancelled. They just cancelled it and it didn't come back. Maybe it was COVID, maybe it was lockdowns, who knows. I love this little box. I love the candle motif, which obviously fans of the show will know. I think that this is a really good continuation of the original show. If you're a fan, if you're looking to buy it, don't expect it to show up anytime soon in the UK. Do not expect it to show up anytime soon on streaming, because clearly it's not, but this is a strong recommend. So that's going to do it for this video. As I say, it wasn't designed to be too much, although I have been able to talk about it at length. I think the Are You Afraid of the Dark box set, absolute bargain. 3 miniseries, 3 seasons. If you're a 90s kid like me, absolute bargain if you can get it for the right price. £20 to £25, absolutely worth it. Do look on eBay, because it is hard to find this elsewhere, but remember, you need the region-free DVD player. The Slumber Party Massacre box set, again, as a horror fan, a slasher fan primarily, really great to be able to get hold of 2 films I've never been able to watch before. Really cool case, $44.99 for 2 4Ks, 2 Blu-rays in a box, in their own cases, with a book. Absolute bargain. And I was really happy to be able to talk about the Blair Witch Project Blu-ray. Again, a tad on the expensive side, but I wanted to spend some time talking about the fact, obviously, there was problems with the Blu-ray, as opposed to just saying, here it is, this has come out. Obviously, I think it's important to document these errors when they happen. I don't think it was necessarily a big problem, but again, like I say, let's mark it down in history as this is what happened at this point in time. So yeah, absolutely happy with that. Thank you for watching. Please do like and subscribe. I have lots of content coming out in December. I took a little bit of a short break in November because I did manage to achieve my 31 days of Halloween. Halloween can be all year round, so if you haven't watched that set of videos, I think there's some great recommendations in there. Really appreciated everyone who commented and liked it. I will be following that up with my sequel, The 12 Scares of Christmas, in December, running from December 13th to December 24th. I have my Dean of the Dead Hot Sauce Challenge coming up with my my family. I think we'll be having a few beverages and then hitting the 7 deadly sins, 7 deadly deans I should say. That will be recorded and I'm sure will have to be heavily edited. I also have a couple of unboxing videos coming up for a couple of items. I do have at least one Doctor Who related video coming out, so if you're a fan of that, or you're a fan of hot sauce, or Blu-rays or film recommendations, do like and subscribe, do share with your friends. The channel's still relatively in its infancy. I think I'm on about 218 subscribers at the time of recording. It would be amazing to end the year at 250, so if you know anybody and you're happy to share it out, please do. There's loads of different content and I want to spend 2025 really broadening more on my content and expanding out a little bit more. So thank you for watching, and until next time, stay scared.